translated into something that makes an impact. So a phase particle is about a femtogram. So if you add up the 10 to the 30 particles, you get a biomass that exceeds that of elephants by 1,000-fold. So these are particles you can't see. That's the amazing thing. There's so many of them that make a huge impact. Now, if you line up these bacterial phase particles, right on the slide here on the left, is a reconstruction, a computer reconstruction of the bacteria. I'm going here at the speed of light, and these are phases, virus particles you can't even see. That's how big that number is. Whereas, for example, in the ocean are infected with small RNA viruses called calicium viruses, which are shown here on the lower left. They're related to viruses that infect us and cause gastroenteritis, diarrhea, vomiting. Whales excrete 10 to the 13th particles a day. These viruses can make them sick. But the point here is that these animals are shedding viruses into the oceans, and that virus can go on and infect other animals there as well, fish as well as mammals. Every living thing on the planet is infected by a virus somewhere or other, and not just one, by multiple viruses. They're not just bad news. I want you to remember that. You may have been interested in viruses because they cause diseases, but in fact, the vast majority of viruses on the planet don't make anybody sick. They're actually beneficial. In the oceans alone, this is a good example of the benefit of viruses. The more viruses in a liter of coastal seawater than all the people on Earth. Just 1 liter. It's amazing. Now, in the oceans, if you look at the biomass of different entities, the pie chart on the lower left, the prokaryotes are yellow, they went out. They have more biomass in the waters than anything else. The protists and the viruses, red and blue, they're very small compared to prokaryotes. So that's by mass. If you look at particle numbers, now the viruses win. Shown on the right here, 94% of all the particles in the oceans are particles of the bacterium, a protist, or a virus. The viruses have 94% of the particles. So they win in terms of numbers in the oceans. Then they say, so what? Who cares? In fact, if you took the viruses away from the ocean, it would probably impact global cycles and molecular life on the same on Earth as it was before that. Viruses cause so many infections per second, something like 10 to the 20 billion infections per second in the oceans, that they liberate organic material, which can then sink to the bottom of the ocean, is recycled by metabolism of various organisms and released. So they're really good for geochemical cycles, like carbon cycles. Without them, life would be very different. Here's another number that's quite stunning. The 10 to the 16 genomes of HIV, immunodeficiency virus particles on the planet today. This is a virus that we will devote an entire lecture to. Those two viruses get the single lecture treatment in this course. Because it's not about learning individual viruses, it's about learning principles, how all viruses work. But HIV is so important that we're going to devote a single lecture to it. 10 to the 16 genomes. We know that because we know there are about 35 million people infected today, and we know how many genomes they carry. So how big is 10 to the 16? Well, it's so big. And that combined with the mutation rate of viruses, which we'll talk about in this course. There's already resistance in these genomes to all the antivirals we have for HIV today. We have about 30 or so antiviral drugs to treat infection. Resistance to all of them is already here among these 10 to the 16 genomes, as well as any antivirals will ever develop. So no matter how many we develop, there's resistance out there to all of them. That's how big the number is, and that's the strategy of viral replication, to make so many offspring that some of them are going to succeed. How infected are you? I used to ask the question of the class, how many of you had a virus infection? And typically 10 people would raise their hands. In fact, we're all infected. You may remember certain episodes of being ill, but right now you're all infected. How infected are you? You'd be surprised. First of all, you have about a dozen herpes viruses in you, including herpes simplex viruses, varicella zoster virus, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr, and human herpes viruses of various numbers. You can take all these very early on in your life. As soon as you're born, your parents hug you and kiss you, and their saliva contains these viruses, and they pass them on to you unwittingly. If you have a paid Epstein-Barr virus, by the time you go to college, you will get it then as well. And these viruses, they cause a transient disease initially in you, but then they become latent, and they remain with you forever. These infections are for life, and you'll periodically make more virus with or without the production of disease symptoms. So you're infected with herpes viruses for your entire life until you're dead. And these are not the only viruses that you have in you. There are hundreds of thousands of others in all different parts of your body. I'm sure many of you know that we and all life forms on Earth have a microbiome in us. We have a collection of bacteria. In humans, the number of bacteria we carry is about equal to the number of human cells that we actually have. But there are also viruses. This is a map of the microbiome. There are specific collections of bacteria in different parts of our bodies. The digestive tract on the skin, the urogenital tract, the eye, the throat, etc. All of these collections of bacteria require during development in utero and then shortly after birth, and they define your life afterwards. They define in great part what other infections you're going to get. They define in great part what other diseases you're going to develop. Diseases like obesity or diabetes. Microbiome is very important. But I want you to remember that part of the microbiome is the virus, all the viruses we have. It's been harder to understand exactly what these viruses do for us, because we can't take them out of us. The bacteria, we can treat people with antibiotics, we treat them regularly, and we know that taking away bacteria early in life has consequences. And so a lot of research now is going into figuring out what those bacteria are and how to get them back to people who are ill. You can't take out the viruses, there are no broad-spectrum antiviral compounds. Someday there will be, and we'll be able to see what happens when we take our viral away. So here's an example of our viral. These are two different studies that were done and published. You see the references down there at the bottom. On the right, sequence of human blood and sequence all of the nucleic acid in human blood. Just total sequence of everything. And then here, the percentage of different organisms are shown. 70% of the sequences are viral. The vast majority of DNA in human blood is viral. That's amazing. That's how many virus particles are floating around. You have some bacteria, 10% of the sequences are bacteria. You have some eukaryotic sequences, including human DNA. And then, this is interesting, down here 15% unknown because we haven't seen it before, so we don't know how to classify it. I guess it's probably all viral as well. Enormous amounts of viral sequences in us. On the left is another study where they did sampling of different organ systems in humans, and again, sequenced to find out what viruses are present. You can see the nervous system, the various teguments for the respiratory tract, the urinary tract, digestive tract, the blood. Each has its own complement of viruses. They're listed here according to whether they have DNA or RNA as their genome. There are tons of them. Now, having a DNA sequence doesn't mean that the virus is actually present and replicating. I would be the first to acknowledge that. You have to be very wary of any report which says, we found the DNA from some pathogenic bacterium or virus on this desktop, because you know if the organism is actually there. We have very easy ways to identify DNA sequences, so we apply them widely, and that's where these studies come from. But I bet there are lots of infectious viruses in us as well. As I said earlier, we had viral DNA as part of our DNA. It's in the germline, so we pass it on to our offspring. And these are infections by viruses that happened many, many years ago when we were first Homo sapiens, and maybe even precursors of Homo sapiens. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So our DNA is shown here as a pie chart. 3.2 billion bases comprise our genome. The protein coding genes, 1.5%, a little sliver of what is there in our genome. Lots of other things like introns, intervening sequences, and various other sorts of repeated elements like slow interspersed nuclear elements, long interspersed nuclear elements. But here I want to point out the LTR retro-transposons, 8%. These are remnants from viral infection. A family of viruses called the retroviruses have the unique property of having the DNA, the RNA genome converted to DNA, and then it's integrated into the genome of the host cell. And so for us, 8% of our DNA is retroviral. That expression happens in the germline. It's called physical endogenous retroviruses. We'll talk a lot about these later because we think at least some of them are actually benefiting us. So we've co-opted some of these retroviral genes to use them in our daily life. Really interesting story. Now, we've been talking about for 10 minutes about how many viruses you have, yet all of you look pretty healthy, and that's because we have a great immune system, which establishes a balance between normal health and pathology. Our immune system is pretty complicated. Diagram a little bit on the left here is great at keeping our biome and our microbiome in check. And when things get awry, when you're immunosuppressed, for example, if you're going to have an organ transplant and you receive immunosuppressive drugs, so you won't reject the organ, boom, all these viruses have a problem. So you get a liver transplant, you're immunosuppressed, the big problem is cytomegalovirus coming out and replicating uncontrollably because your immune system can't handle it. If you're infected with a virus that causes immunosuppression, like HIV or measles, you get a lot of the viruses that you carry will begin to replicate and cause disease. We'll consider some examples of this throughout the course. But the main point here is that when your immune system is healthy, it keeps your biome and your microbiome under control. When it's down for whatever reason, then you can no longer control these viruses and bacteria. They replicate out of control and cause problems. Now, we're not going to talk much about the immune system in this course. This course is focused on viruses. Hopefully some of you at least took Moshiewicz's immunology course in the fall, and you'll get what we do say about immunology. We're going to have 2 or 3 lectures where we talk about the immune response in terms of how it interacts with viral infection. To continue with this theme that not all viruses make you sick, I want to tell you a story about a collection of small DNA viruses shown on the upper left here. They're called polyomaviruses. They have a double-stranded circular DNA genome of about 8,000 bases long. Not very complicated. They don't encode a lot of genes. And all of you are infected with a variety of these polyomaviruses. For the most part, they don't make you sick again unless you're immunosuppressed in some way. You can use the pattern of infection with these viruses to trace population movements because they're passed among family members typically. So parents will pass these polyomaviruses onto their children and so forth. So you can use, you can do serological surveys. You can look for antibodies against these viruses, and they're distinguishable. Different populations have different kinds of polyomaviruses. You can actually trace migration of early humans from Africa across Europe and into Asia and the Americas. In fact, these black lines are the movement of human populations from Africa into Europe, across Asia, down into Australia, across the land bridge into the Americas. You can absolutely trace how people have moved by looking at the antibodies, polyomaviruses. But the dotted line are the movements you can trace by sequencing human DNA. It's much less detailed than we can get from virus infections. So you know a lot of information by looking at what kinds of infections you've had. Besides, the big point here, they're not making you ill. There are examples of good viruses, but they're typically not from human studies because, as I said earlier, it's very difficult to do experiments to take away viruses from people and see what happens. We can do that in other experimental systems. Here's an example of a virus that's beneficial for a plant. This is a grass called Dicantherium languinosa. If you ever been to Yellowstone National Park, we're in these parks with hot springs, so they're over 100 degrees Celsius there. Right around the edges, there are plants growing, and this is one of them. It can tolerate very, very high temperatures. So it turns out that the reason this plant can grow at high temperatures, you can bring it in the lab and try and grow it at high temperatures, it will, but it has a fungus. It's colonized by a fungus called Curvularia tuberata that allows the plant to grow at high temperature. If you take the fungus out, which you can do in the laboratory, the plant will now no longer grow at high temperatures. The fungus in turn is infected with a virus. If you take the virus out of the fungus alone is not enough to allow the plant to grow at high temperatures. So this is a unique mutualism between the plant, fungus, and the virus. So the fungus has a place to grow, the virus has a place to grow with the fungus, and the plant gets the benefit from this interaction of being able to grow at high temperatures. The idea is that this fungus produces some products of some sort that allow it to grow at high temperatures, but we don't know. The people are working on trying to understand that. So real close to this. So what we know is that the virus is infecting the fungus, not the plant. It's a fungal virus, and now you need the fungal virus and the fungus within the plant to get the plant growth at high temperature. If you take out the virus and the fungus and just put the fungus in the plant, it will not grow at high temperature. So it's a mutualism that allows growth at high temperatures that we don't understand the mechanism. Now we get a little closer to home in the mammal system. This is a mouse experiment now where you can grow mice without any bacteria. From day one, you can grow them in a facility that doesn't have bacteria and feed them food that's sterile, so you end up making germ-free mice. These mice will grow, but they have problems. And one of the problems they have is that their intestines are wrong, they're buried. So that's shown on this slide. These are sections of mice, of mouse intestines, small intestines. These are the conventional mouse with this whole complement of gut bacteria. And these are the villi of the intestine in a section. This is the morphologically normal. And then at the bottom here is a stain for antigen present on T cells, CD3, and those are the yellow or brown staining cells. So the gut is morphologically normal, and it contains proper amount of lymphocytes. If you grow these mice without bacteria, germ-free mice, now the villi are morphologically apparent. You can see compared to conventional mice have altered appearance, and they're very few T cells, very few lymphocytes in the gut. So the implication is that bacteria are required for normal morphological development of the gut as well as development of the immune system. So that's a known fact, and people are working very hard to understand what the bacteria do to allow this. But the cool part about this experiment, which was done here in New York City at New York University by Ken Caviel's group, is that you take these germ-free mice and now you infect them with a virus called norovirus. So this is a virus related to a virus that whales shed in the oceans that I showed you earlier. If you infect them with noroviruses, you partially restore morphology of the small intestine villi. So it's not completely like the conventional mice, but it's improved, and you have more lymphocytes in the gut as well. So again, you take a virus, a normal mouse virus, which mice are known to have in mouse colonies, infect it, it restores the morphology of the gut. So the suggestion here is that viruses are also participating in development of different organisms and in development of the immune system. As I said, we can't do this experiment with humans, but if we get to the point one day where we make antibiotics that will wipe out our viral, we can see if this effect occurs. So basically, those are some examples of why I think viruses are amazing. And this is just a picture of 2 different viruses. We can make amazing images of viruses, how we can solve the structures and display the structures. We'll talk about how we do that in a couple of sessions. But what I want to leave you with is this thought that biology is an integrated science. That means you learn all science when you study viruses. So you take chemistry, you learn chemistry. Take physics, you learn physics pretty much. But when you take biology, you're learning chemistry, physics, biochemistry, cell biology, and moving into the populations, epidemiology, ecology, all sorts of sciences. You learn a lot more than viruses, and that's why I assume you know a lot of biology when you're taking this course. I'm going to talk about things like DNA replication, transcription, translation. Without explaining that, I assume you know it. You have to know a lot of things to understand viruses. And as I said earlier, if you have problems, let me know. I can help you sort that out. But once, a couple of years ago in this course, at the end of the course, a freshman came down, and you're supposed to take this as a freshman, this was lesson biology, but she came down and she said, I really like this course, I've got a name in it. I said, great, that's really good. She said, in fact, it's going to help me with my biology courses because it makes everything else seem pretty perspective properly. So when you study viruses, you're going to learn about all these other things that happen in the cell and what they mean. So some of my course goals, besides convincing you that viruses are good and they're not all bad, I want to give you a big picture. I don't want to teach you about individual viruses. A lot of courses will do that. Introductory biology course at many colleges and universities, every lecture will be a different virus. It's almost completely useless. And with respect to my colleagues, they're probably not biologists, and that's the easiest way for them to teach the course. If they are biologists and they teach it that way, shame on them, because you don't learn any concepts. You learn how one virus works, and then another, there's no overview. I want to give you an overview in this course, that's what I mean by the big picture, so that you in the future can look at any virus and understand what's going on, because we're going to cover all the basic groups. I want you to think about biology as an integrated discipline. I told you just now, biology is an integrated science. It's not a collection of viruses or genes or phylogenetic trees. I want you to see the big picture. And finally, I want you to learn the fundamentals that amaze the informed and frighten the uninformed. Most people get really scared when there's a viral outbreak. They don't understand it. Fear comes from not knowing things. I want you to understand viruses so that in the future, if there's an outbreak, something happens, you remember and understand that you can explain to your family or your friends, or even if you are a journalist or a politician. You will do silly things and write silly headlines, but you'll understand and do calm things. I really think that some of you are going to go out there and be journalists one day, and so you'll know biology and be able to propagate the truth. I have a bone to pick with the way viruses are portrayed in the news. This is a capture from a news report of maybe 2009 from CNN. And here this fellow was going through a study that had just been published in the New England Journal of Medicine, a study from 2009 of brand new influenza virus emerged. This study globally, it's scary because there's no vaccine against it. And the group had done a study where they took ferrets, which are a good animal model for flu, and they infected them with the virus, and it was really pathogenic in the animals. So this fellow was going over the results. It ravages the lungs, spreads through the respiratory system, causes lesions, doesn't stay in the head like seasonal flu. It had nothing to do with people. So later on, the virus turned out to be relatively mild in people, so the ferret study, but they didn't mention this in the news report. And this is the sort of thing that really bothers me, not presenting the facts, but rather being sensational. The news outlets need to get news, so they tend to sensationalize, so they're only able to sit through that. And I think that it works for me to get the email from people saying, you know, that Ebola outbreak this year and that happened, I really understood it, and I realized how sensationalist the press is. So throughout this course, I'll give you some examples of this, and who knows, maybe there'll be an outbreak during this course. It certainly happens every year. Last year, it was Zika, just as we were starting this course, and a few years before the outbreak in West Africa of Ebola. But if there is something, we'll be able to understand it, and that is my goal. Now, another thing we're going to do during the class, maybe 3 times each class, we're going to do some online quizzing, which is true. All viruses make us sick and can be lethal. Our immune system can manage most infections. Humans are usually infected with one virus at a time. The press is usually correct. In the virology report, our immune system cannot handle most viral infections. So let's see which one is correct here. Our immune system can manage most viral infections. That's the key point here. And that's why, because your flu virus is healthy, because you have a good immune system. When it's down, you have a problem. It's probably one person or 2 people, the others answered. Humans are usually infected with one virus at a time. They're full of viruses. Hundreds and hundreds of them. And our immune system cannot handle most viral infections. It's clearly not true. So we use that periodically to track your progress here. Right now, let's start with the nuts and bolts. What is a virus? You have to have a definition, because you probably won't have one. If you do, it may be different from mine. It's basically a piece of nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, surrounded by protein or membrane or both, and we call it an infectious obligate intracellular parasite. So what does that mean? So nucleic acid is quite clear. DNA, viruses are unusual because some of them have RNA, the genetic material. As far as we know, there's many other form of life on Earth that has RNA, so viruses are unique. And we'll talk about why we think that's so later on. Infectious, of course, means it can go from one host to another, one cell to another. And obligate intracellular parasite. This is really important. This means the viruses have to get inside, not only inside of you, but inside of your cells in order to replicate. They will not replicate without getting inside of the cell. Remember that. It's really key. It's obvious, to introduce yourself, but so remember now, because it means that every virus has to get in the cell because it can't provide all it needs on its own in order to replicate. And you can see here, there are viruses of all different sizes and shapes. There are bewildering numbers of different sorts of viruses. And in this course, I'm not going to teach you all of them. I want to teach you the principles about how specific groups work. So in biology, because viruses are obligate parasites, they depend on host functions. When you study them, you learn about the host. No matter what host it is, humans or protozoans or plants, you learn about the host. And so many discoveries in biology have been made through viruses, like splicing. Splicing of RNA was discovered in viruses. Into modifications of mRNA, like the cap and the polyA tail, and so many other processes. In fact, early on in the field of molecular biology, you can only study DNA synthesis in viruses like the cell. You have no way to study the cell itself. A lot of our understanding of origins of replication, meaning ligand strand replication force, all of that came from viruses. So viruses have this amazing way of illustrating the host because they absolutely require it. Now here is the question: are viruses alive or not? And I have a poll on my blog. As you can see here, I took this screenshot the other day. I have 6,000 people who have voted. 1,800 say yes, no, 2,000, and an equal number in between. So you can see people out there. And my blog is led by a wide range of people from, I think, middle school kids all the way up to professionals and retired people. There's a lot of division about whether a virus is alive or not. So I've thought about this for many years, and there's an easy answer which I want to share with you. It depends what you mean when you say virus alive. Because the virus really consists of 2 parts. There's a virus particle on the left here. These are these pretty things that I've shown you a bit of so far, different sizes and different shapes. That's a virus particle, which contains nucleic acid, protein, and maybe some lipid. How can that be living? Keep living on its own. That's what they get through the cell. So to say a virus particle is living is, in my view, not correct. However, when the virus particle gets into the cell, it gets reproduced and takes over the cell. And the infected cell is clearly living. So I view the virus as an organism with 2 phases. There's a non-living phase, the virus particle, and then there's the living phase, the infected cell. So again, it depends on what you mean by virus. When I say virus, I mean these organisms with two phases. But when most people say virus, they mean the particle. And it can't be correct to say that the particle is living. So think about that. That's an easy way to resolve this conundrum, I think. One warning to you as we go through this course, avoid anthropomorphic statements or analyses of viruses and what they proceed through their infectious cycles. Viruses don't think, or they don't employ, they don't insure, exhibit, display. They do nothing that is active like we would do. They're passive agents. They're just responding to selection pressures. They don't think about what they're doing, obviously. There's no predetermined notions about what's going to happen. Most importantly, they don't achieve those in a human-centered manner. If you start to look at viruses and you say things like, well, the virus wanted to do this to avoid this immune response, you are putting a human value on what the virus is doing. That's wrong. You don't think viruses obey the same rules that we do. So I want you to divorce yourself with that. No, it's very hard to do this. In fact, when we wrote a textbook, you have to go through and take out all the examples of viruses doing something. Not that we left a few in. So if you find them, let me know. But it's wrong to do it. It's not usually, of course, to say when the virus antagonizes the immune system. That's kind of an active process. But so happens that makes you caught upset will interfere with certain steps in the immune response. But that is an entirely passive process. It's just a matter of you thinking of viruses in a different way, not in a human-centered way. So viruses are small. In fact, originally the definition of a virus has to do with its size, as we'll see in a moment. And this slide begins to show you that here's an E. coli bacterium, 100,000 times magnified, and on its surface is a bacteria phase. So you can see the phase is rather small compared to the bacteria. Here's HIV, panel B, and C is a large-shaped virus, but not the virus, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's a plant virus. So the viruses are even smaller. This panel here is amplified on the right, and it shows you a couple of viruses. Here is, for example, one virus, poliovirus in H, and that is a ribosome, an antibody molecule, a tRNA, and A is a carbon atom, or as small as you can make it with the dot that you can see. So you can see viruses approach atomic level in terms of their size. They're quite small, and they're comparable in size to many cellular structures. This is magnified a million times. And here's another way of looking at the size. On the top of the scale, showing from atoms to small molecules, proteins, ribosomes, look at viruses between ribosomes and bacteria, animal cells, plant cells, and then very large things. And viruses, you can't see in the light microscope for the most part. There's one exception, which I'll tell you about in a moment. You need an electron microscope in order to visualize viruses. And here on the bottom is a picture of an infected cell, and there's a nucleus in the cytoplasm. All the boxes like herpes virus, which expanded up the right. So you get an idea of the size of the virus. The cell numbers is a two-dimensional representation of the cell, so it's flat. You don't appreciate the cell volume. And below herpes virus is a poliovirus, which is considerably smaller, 30 nanometers in diameter versus 200. The question that everyone asks, of course, is, I mean, viruses can fit on the head of a pin. Here's the pin magnified, and in the middle is a virus, but there are also some other components here. There's red blood cells, there's yeast, there's pollen, and then in the middle here are some bacteria, and then the viruses are very, very tiny things that you can barely see on the screen here. The pink one is Ebola virus, and then if you zoom in even more, you'll see rhinoviruses. So you can fit 500 million rhinoviruses on the head of a pin. They're very, very small, and this means expelling many, many millions of rhinoviruses, and that's why you can efficiently transmit them to other people. That's something we'll talk about quite a lot in this course. Now, although viruses were originally defined as being very small, we recently found some really good ones, which are very, very interesting. Here's one called minivirus, and you can see this reconstruction of a minivirus compared to a rhinovirus, which is just about 500 can fit on the head of a pin, and HIV, which is slightly bigger. When miniviruses were discovered, they were amazing. These are the biggest viruses found to date by many times over, and they challenge our notion of what viruses are. But I tell you this, for viruses, they still obligate intracellular parasites. Even though their genomes are huge and encode many, many proteins, they still require a cell in which to reproduce. The biggest virus we know of so far is Pandora virus, which is a virus containing DNA. It's central at the bottom here, and this is an electron micrograph on the upper right. On the left is a light micrograph. So this is an image you could go to any lab here and take. You can see these viruses under the light microscope. They're about 1.5 microns in length. And that's something that's visible in the light microscope. The British virus is visualized today. Most you cannot see in a light microscope. It's highly unusual. We'll talk a little bit about these viruses that are light so big and what do they code for. A key concept that you'll have to remember is that viruses replicate very differently from bacteria. Viruses replicate by making components and then assembling them into a final virus particle. That's different from bacteria, which divide. One bacteria becomes 2 or 4 and 8, binary fission, but our cells multiply. So a virus infects a cell, and if I'm on the upper right here, we call a growth curve of a virus infected cell. We're looking at time after infection versus the number of virus particles made. You see, very early after infection, much more infectivity. So seeing time points of 6,000 million virus infectivity, in the beginning there's nothing. We call this the eclipse period, because what happens is the genome comes out of the particle, and it's no longer infectious by the assay that we are using. Then after a certain period of time, which varies according to the virus, you then see the production of virus particles. In this eclipse period, what's happening is the genome is not only coming out of the particle, but it's coding for all the proteins that are needed to not only replicate the genome and make more, but to make proteins that will encapsulate the virus. And when all that comes together, you get the production of infectious viruses. Now, bring this up because when viruses were first discovered, people thought they were bacteria, because people had discovered bacteria previously, and it was confusing to them that it was growth curve for these eclipse periods, which you don't see when you put a bacteria into a broth. And that's the reason why, because they have a very unique way of making new infectious particles. So let's take a break here and do another question. Which of the following is true concerning bacterial versus viral replication? Viruses must assemble using preformed components. Bacteria do not replicate via binary fission as viruses do. Bacteria must assemble using preformed components. Viruses do not have an eclipse period. Viruses replicate by binary fission. Okay, everybody got virus must assemble using preformed components, most of the 92%. That's the right answer. They do not replicate by bacteria do not replicate by binary fission as viruses do. That's what Parker makes that wrong. Bacteria must assemble using preformed components, so don't they super divide. Viruses do not have an eclipse. So nobody got that. Viruses replicate by binary fission. Bacteria replicate by binary fission. How old are viruses? Well, a brand new study came out this week showing that they're at least 450 million years old. They're Paleozoic. This is a creature, an ordinary cephalopod that lived 488 million years ago. You know, on Earth, life began as single-celled organisms, multicellular organisms, most of it happening in the oceans, of course. And then, a little older than this period, the Cambrian period, witnessed an explosion of life forms in the oceans. All of a sudden, something happened, and all different kinds of life emerged, multicellular organisms like this one, and we think at the same time viruses evolved to infect them, and eventually, when they came off the land later on, the viruses came with them. How do you know that viruses are 450 million years old? You think samples are old, right? The fossils, sometimes fossils, the body DNA would be gone, you couldn't do any sequencing. Well, every animal, since you have a weird probably, is infected with a retrovirus. And they integrate into the genome. So today, we're sequencing the genomes of many, many animals, everything on Earth basically. We can see these integrated copies, we can do phylogenetic studies, and we can say how many years ago they probably went into the genome. We'll talk a little bit about that later in evolution, but that's how we can estimate the age of retroviruses. I think viruses were probably the first forms to replicate on Earth. If you think of the early chains of the Earth, there were self-replicating molecules, probably RNA. I think those were the first viruses without a host. Eventually they evolved into cells. We'll talk about that later. Evidence for that, of course, is very difficult to see. If we look closer to today, there are historical references a long time ago about virus infections. Of 700 BC, the word rabbit was mentioned in the Iliad. In 1500 BC, the Egyptian carving has a young priest whose leg looked like he has polio, which is a typical drop foot, symptomatic of poliovirus infection. So we think virus infections have been around a long time. Immunization has also been around a long time, long before we knew what viruses were. In the 11th century in China, they practiced what's called variolation. Smallpox was a big problem throughout human history, killed hundreds of millions of people. It's now eradicated by vaccination, by the way. But back then, people would routinely die of the infection. And people noted that some people survived and never got infected again. Now, they didn't know it was a virus or any infectious agent. They just said, well, what if we took the pustules from the skin of these people and give them to other people and would they be protected? And so that's called variolation, and that's what's being done here. Here, they ground up the pustules and were blowing them into the person's nose. Later on, maybe a month ago, with the wife of the British ambassador to Turkey, she found out about this and brought it back to the UK. Problem is, this immunization is associated with 30% mortality because it's wild-type smallpox virus. Not a really good idea. But it's better than nothing. Later on in the 1790s, Edward Jenner in the UK noticed that milkmaids who got cowpox related to smallpox, and his mother got smallpox. So he immunized a boy with cowpox, and that was the beginning of the immunization. But he didn't know viruses were involved. In fact, it was another 100 years that we discovered viruses. They were all doing this simply by observing what was happening. To understand where our concept of viruses came from, we have to go first to Leeuwenhoek, who was a lens maker in Holland, and he made the first microscopes. And he saw little things in water and all sorts of other samples. You know, people would just thought everything you saw was all the life that was, and he said, no, there are microorganisms around. Pasteur, in the mid to late 1800s, said and proved these microorganisms actually are not spontaneously generated, they replicate on their own, and they help to make milk and cheese and wine and beer and so forth, so they can be beneficial. Finally, Robert Koch, also in the 1800s in Germany, said bacteria can cause disease. He proved the germ theory of disease, showing that some of them cause infections. But none of them knew anything about viruses. The first virus discovered wasn't until the end of the 1800s, a virus that infects tobacco plants. Tobacco mosaic virus. Already at that time, tobacco was a big agricultural product. People were smoking it, cigars and pipes. And in Europe, there was this disease going through the crops, making the leaves mottled, and this was unacceptable. So they were trying to figure out what was going on. And what they would do is grind up the leaves and see if there were bacteria growing in them, but no one could ever find a bacterium that would grow in it. The two investigators working a few years apart, Ivanovsky and Behring, found that a filtrate of the tobacco leaf, an infected tobacco leaf, will cause the disease when inoculated onto fresh plant leaves. So they took the leaf, ground it up in a buffer, they passed it through a filter with a vacuum that will hold back bacteria. And the filtrate they put on tobacco leaves, and they found that it would infect them and cause the disease. And so this is the original definition of a virus, a filterable agent, something smaller than bacteria. But today we still use filters, you can buy them to make a virus stop the filter to get out any bacteria, the virus goes through the filter, and you can use that for your experiments. So they were the first to name this a virus. They didn't know what it was, but it was some kind of a poison. In fact, viruses happen for slimy liquid or poison. They didn't really understand what they had. In 1898, the first animal virus was discovered, a virus that causes lesions in the mouth and proves to cattle, called foot and mouth disease. They showed it was filterable. And the two concepts that were emerging, not only were these agents small, so the filter core size was about 0.2 microns. Okay, so that was the initial definition of virus. Today we know viruses can be much bigger. But the agent will not replicate abroad. If you take the filtrate from a tobacco leaf and put it in a blob, it will grow. You need another tobacco leaf to grow in. So this is the idea that the host is essential. After this virus discovery proceeded at a reasonable pace, first human virus yellow fever, 1901, rabies, 1903, malaria, cause of smallpox, 1906, first cancer-causing virus, 1908, along with poliovirus, another cancer-causing virus, 1911, we'll dedicate an entire lecture to the consequences of that discovery, viruses that infect bacteria, and influenza virus, 1933. So which is the key concept that first discovered about viruses that distinguish them from other microorganisms. Two viruses pass through a 0.2 micron filter, it can replicate only in broth, they made tobacco plants sick, they were small enough to pass through a 0.2 micron filter, and none of the above. 90% of you got the right answer. They were small enough to pass through a 0.2 micron filter. That's the concept back then that distinguished them from bacteria, which were retained on the filter. In the 1930s, the electron microscope was developed in Germany, first in Germany and elsewhere, and we began to see what viruses were. Up until this point, people thought they were liquid. They just somehow infecting cells. But this showed they were particulate. We saw amazing pictures. So B was tobacco mosaic virus, turned out to be a rod-shaped virus. We'll talk more about that later. A is a bacteriophage, C is rabies virus, and D, an enterovirus like poliovirus. And today, of course, we can do wonderful things with these images, which we'll learn a great deal about. We can determine the structure of viruses down to the single atomic level. You know exactly how a virus is put together. This is poliovirus. You know where every atom is in three-dimensional space, and we can take these coordinates and put them on a computer and make really nice images like these. We can come up with a chemical formula for poliovirus. You know the exact composition. And there it is, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And this helps us understand a lot of the properties of viruses as we'll see in this course. Now, there are lots of viruses out there. To make this study manageable, we classify them, and I don't want you to learn the classification, but you should understand what the word means because you might see them, and you want to know what they are. So as you know, the main ways you can classify a virus, the main reason today now is the nature and sequence of the nucleic acid. Nowadays you can get a brand new virus sequence and know exactly what it is. But we also look at the type of protein shell that the virus has, whether it's got a lipid membrane, and the size of the virus particle. And these are just some of the different types of morphology that we'll be talking about. Virus classification is a system for helping you to put viruses in order. They follow the classical hierarchical system that's used to classify life forms, except we start at the order level. And any virus order has virales at the end. The family, which is mostly what we'll be talking about here, are viridae. So Filoviridis, for example, or filovirus family, contains Ebola viruses. Below family, you have genus, Ebola virus is the genus, and then species. So Zaire Ebola virus would be the species originally necessarily from Zaire. So again, most of the stuff about families, genera, and species in this course, we only use them to make comparisons among different viruses. This is a field virus, so it must have these sorts of properties. Today, we don't simply look for viruses when people are sick. We try to discover everything that's out there and that's in us. And the technologies that have been developed in the last 10 years, PCR, deep sequencing, and many others, allow us to do this. So here's an amazing study just published last year in Nature. They took 220 different invertebrate species, some of the insects, crustaceans, nematode, mollusks, etc., collected all over China, in fact, namely, and then they ground them up and sequenced the nucleic acid, total nucleic acid sequence, which you can do very quickly now because of the technology that have been developed. We found in 220 different invertebrate species, 1,345 brand new viruses never seen before. And this is done all the time with different animals, soil, water, rock. People are looking everywhere for viruses. Environmental samples, people go to ATM machines and they look on the machine and swab it and see the viruses and bacteria are there. Lots of studies to find out what is all around us. So the pace of discovery is no longer determined by disease. It's by trying to find out what is out there. Now you may ask, who cares? Who cares what's out there? Let's just worry about Ebola and Zika and flu, right? Now, viruses outnumber cellular life by at least 10 to 1, the greatest biodiversity and genetic diversity on the planet, bar none. They drive global cycles, like I told you earlier. It's probably beneficial. And, of course, at the end, they're sources of new pathogens. But most of the first 3 points, what really drives most of our study of viruses, only when a new pathogen arises, we focus on it and try to prevent it. So in this course, we're going to try and balance between those 2 things, between discovery and understanding disease. I want to leave you with one more thought before we break into the next time. There are a lot of viruses out there that can be complicated and seem overwhelming, but we can simplify, and that's my goal of this course, because of these 2 simple facts. First, all viruses are operative parasites. They can only replicate after they get inside of the cell. So we can track what goes on in the cell to replicate new virus particles as a way of understanding how to work. But maybe even better, all viruses have to make messenger RNA that can be translated by the host ribosome. No virus encodes a protein synthesis system. Every one of them needs to use the host translational system, the ribosome, ctRNAs, amino acids, etc., in order to make protein. So we call viruses not only operative intracellular parasites, but they're parasites of the host protein synthesis machinery. So because of these 2 properties, it helps us to simplify all the viruses out there enormously. That's what we'll start doing next time. We call the infectious cycle. We'll talk a little bit about what it is, how we use it to study viruses, how we can measure viruses, and a little bit about the different methods that we use. We talk about a lot of methods in this course, and I want you to at least understand at some level what we're talking about. The infectious cycle is diagrammed here. This is a cell. It's infected with a particular virus. They're very different, the different kinds of viruses in terms of what they do in the cell. And we'll be going through that throughout this course. But I just wanted to look at this as a way of breaking down what a virus does in the cell into discrete steps. So the infectious cycle is another name for the replication cycle. That's all the things that happen when a virus attaches to a cell, gets in, reproduces, and leaves. Now, biologists provided the steps so we can study them. And people specialize on entry, protein synthesis, replication, and so forth. Of course, there are no boundaries in cells. We just do that to facilitate our understanding. So look at this diagram here of an infected cell. This happens to be an RNA virus. And you can see some very distinct steps, like attachment and entry. Remember, viruses are operative intracellular parasites that inside of the cell. So they have to bind to a receptor and be taken in. Now, for this virus, what happens is it's taken in an endosome, and then the genome gets out. There's a metaplasm. There's a little blue squiggly line there. There's the RNA genome of this particular virus. And there, because this is the right kind of RNA, we'll talk about that next time, it can translate directly into proteins. The translation is another step, of course, that we need to go through in order to make more virus particles. Viruses cannot translate to RNA. They depend entirely on the translation apparatus of the host cell. Now, proteins are then made, and those proteins can participate in genome replication, which is shown here. And of course, other proteins are made by translation of participating in assembly of new virus particles. Proteins cluster the genome of the virus, and eventually these virus particles are released. So the general steps of a infectious cycle or replication cycle, and one of those of biology is to understand what happens at each one. Now this is for an RNA virus. For other viruses, the details are going to be different. For example, some viruses will replicate their genomes in the nucleus. We'll go over some of these differences just to illustrate little variations on the theme. But essentially, the infectious cycle is what happens in the cell when a virus gets in and eventually leaves. And as I said, biologists trying to understand what's going on. The first half of this course could have roughly 12 lectures or so we're going to devote to understanding what goes on in the infectious cycle. Then we'll step back and we'll look at what happens in a host, in an infected host. Okay? When a virus gets into an animal, they're very different things, and we'll spend the remainder of the last half of the course talking about that. So there's some terms that I'll use that are not used by everyone, and I want you to know what they are so you know what I'm talking about. Interestingly, biologists are not very careful about the words they use. Now, I wrote a textbook of biology, and I learned very early on in the first edition that if you take a word and use it different ways throughout the text, it's a bad thing, right? Use it differently in chapter 1 from chapter 3 and 4, that doesn't work. So we define terms, we use them the same throughout the textbook, and often I get help from my biology colleagues. They say, this word doesn't mean this. And I say, well, I don't care what you think it means. I'll think it means this, and that's what we're going to use it. It's not pedantic, but I just want to communicate properly. So here are some points of definition. A susceptible cell. That means it has a receptor for a virus. Doesn't matter anything else about the cell, whether the virus can get in and replicate or not. All that's susceptible means is that there is a receptor for the virus on the surface, and I will be using that throughout this course. A resistant cell has no receptor. It may or may not support virus replication. So we can take nucleic acid out of virus particles and put it separately into the cell, which doesn't require a receptor. Sometimes nucleic acid will replicate in the absence of a receptor. A permission cell has the capacity to replicate the virus. There's no implication about whether there's a receptor for the virus or not. It just means if the virus can get in and put nucleic acid in the cell, it will replicate. That's permissivity. And finally, a susceptible and permissive cell is the only one that can take up a virus particle and replicate it. So I talk about cells that are susceptible and permissive means they combine, they can get in, they can replicate their genomes, they can assemble, and they can make new virus particles. So those are important terms that you should remember because, again, other biologists will use them differently. But if you go back and look at the history of biology, these are the right definitions. Now, in the history of biology, remember at the end of the 1800s we talked about the discovery of the first virus, the mosaic virus. But for many years it was very difficult to study animal viruses because we didn't have cells in culture. We used to study plant viruses, you could just take a plant and let the virus on it. So we used animals at first, especially the first 50 years of the 20th century. So we would grow viruses and all kinds of laboratory animals. Depending on the virus, each virus would be a different kind of animal. And this, you can imagine, is not ideal. It's not easy. You can't study infections in single cells in an animal. It's It's just too complicated. Yet that's what biologists did. And when they stopped the viruses, they would inoculate an animal. So to discover they clinicalized, say, a virus from a person with poliomyelitis, they would inoculate it to a monkey. And the monkey got paralyzed, they would sacrifice it, take out the spinal cord, bind it up, and then infect another monkey. Because in the beginning of the 20th century, we didn't have freezers. So this is passed the virus from host to host. Some point freezers were developed, and they at least stopped doing that and freeze the virus stock. But for many years, we actually used laboratory animals. One of the more commonly used laboratory animals is the embryonated hen egg, or embryonated chicken egg, which is shown here. And you can see all the different viruses that we used to grow in eggs. These have a little embryo in them, so that's why the person very disordered embryo, the size, you can put the hole in the shell and then inoculate virus. And these viruses are replicating different parts of the egg. There's choroidal membrane, amniotic sac, yolk sac, amniotic fluid, and so forth. The details aren't important for you just to know that this used to be a common thing with many viruses. We don't use these anymore, except for influenza virus. We inoculate into the amniotic fluid, which is most of the fluid in the egg, and they mature eggs about 10 milliliters of fluid. In fact, this is how we make many of the influenza vaccines. We grow them in eggs because they're easy to purify large quantities of virus. We don't do that anymore. You can see here, influenza vaccine production is a big deal globally, and the process has been automated. It racks and racks of embryonated chicken eggs, and the machine drills a hole in them, injects virus, seals it up, and puts it in an incubator for whatever number of days. And then they're harvested. The other purification is done. If you get a flu vaccine, that's what is inoculated into your arm. There are other ways to make flu vaccines, specific to people with allergies to eggs, but this is still the main one. We make about 150 million doses of flu vaccine a year in the U.S., and one egg makes about one dose of vaccine. Now, in the 1940s, biologist John Anders, on the cover of Time magazine, figured out how to grow cells in culture so they could then grow viruses in them. And this was impossible before 1949. He and two other individuals figured out how to grow poliovirus in human cell culture, and took embryonic tissues and put them into culture and showed that the virus was growing. Again, before this, people grew the monkeys. They grew the virus in monkeys. But this was really a groundbreaking discovery. He got the Nobel Prize for that in 1954. That's why he's on the cover of Time. He was working with two other individuals inside of it. One of them was a research fellow, the other was a medical student. He included all of them in his Nobel Prize. When they called him and said, we want to give you the Nobel Prize, so you have to include my two assistants, which is really cool. Not everybody does that. So nowadays we grow viruses in cells. Of course, we still infect animals to study disease, of course. But to grow viruses and study single-cell replication, we do it in cell culture. We have a number of different kinds of cell culture that we mentioned throughout this course. And the upper left is an example of primary human foreskin fibroblasts. Now you may think, why foreskin? Well, in a medical center, you get foreskins every day, right? Babies are born every day, slip, and they turn out. But if you're a scientist, you can go over and get them. And then bring them back to the lab, you chop them up and associate them with nutrition, you can make a very nice monolayer of cells. So it's a nice source, it's an unlimited source of cells, basically. There are not many human tissues that we can get so readily, right? The inside of your cheek is another one you can gather with a swab and get quite a few primary fibroblasts as well. And those are the non-always infect them with a variety of viruses. The problem is they don't work forever. Primary cells have a finite lifespan. They can only go through about 30 divisions, and then they die. There's a number of reasons for that, which we'll talk about later on in the course. So they're okay, but then you have to go back and get more cells. And you get them from a different person each time, with genetic variability, cell issues associated with primary cells. So we have now made typical cell lines. And these are two examples. Here's a mouse fibroblast cell line called 53, and on the right is the epithelial cell line, here cell line. These are immortal. They will survive forever. Because essentially they have lost all of their birth control. We understand Electra talking about this really interesting property of these cells. And you can grow these forever in your lab, divide them separately, and you can use them to infect the viruses and study their replication. Now, that's great that you have them forever. The problem is, let this screwed up. The wrong number of chromosomes. So human cells have a heteroploid. Each cell doesn't have the same number of chromosomes. They have way more than 36, and they have different numbers of different chromosomes. So if you're worried about that, gene dosage, for example, that can be a problem. We do have different cell strains which overcome this. These have the right number of chromosomes, but they're a little bit longer than primary cells, maybe 100 divisions. But if you freeze them up along the way, you can deal with that. So this is what we use for studying viruses. Now in the lab, we grow cells in plastic dishes. And these are shown here, plastic dishes and plastic flasks. The cells will go on the plastic, they form a monolayer, they stay attached. And there's a little bit of medium covering it. You can see the little plates and flasks, a little bit of medium, nutrient has human and other nutrients to feed the cells so they grow, and you can use these to make more cells or to infect them with viruses and so forth. We also grow cells with suspension culture. So the first picture is a monolayer culture. So whenever I talk about that, that's what I mean. This is a suspension. Some cells you can grow like this. This is a spinning magnet in the bottle. There's a magnet underneath the motor that turns it, and these same suspensions work at a lot higher density. So this is a liter of cells, 10 to the 5th cells per milliliter. So that's a lot. You can never achieve that realistically in a monolayer culture. Now, the hero cells that I mentioned to you before are an interesting story. These, of course, were made from a woman in the early 1950s, Henrietta Lacks, and she had a circular tumor that got this, took a little piece of the tumor and made hero cells from it. And the first time that had ever been done. And that's the origin of the immortal hero cells. That's what's called the immortal life. One that I recommended with Dr. Scrooge is the author. And the story here is they didn't tell her. She died very shortly afterwards. They didn't tell her family until 20 years later. So this is the story of that. Quite an interesting story. And I think there's a movie being made that's going to be out in the spring as well. A blank cell is the only cell that can take up the virus particle and replicate. It's one of the blanks, naive and resistant, primary and permissive, susceptible and permissive, susceptible and naive, or continuous and immortal. It looks like, wow, 100%. Lecture number 2, we already did 100%. I'm impressed. These are the picture about lecture 10 as well. Susceptible and permissive. This is sure that's right. Explained it, right? Susceptible cells means have receptive. Permissive means they are internally able to replicate the virus. Great. These monolayer cell cultures that I've been talking about, there's some ways that we know the virus is going in. If we just look at monolayer virus, I have to tell one layer shown here. It's called cytopathic effect, or CPE. Right? And we're going to mention this a lot. I'll use the word CPE. What it means is changes in the cells caused by virus infection. Lots of different kinds of cytopathic effect. A couple of them are shown here. So these are a series of photographs taken cells infected with poliovirus. The upper left is the uninfected monolayer. You can see the cells are making a nice sheet. They're touching each other, you can see the individual cells. 4 hours later, after infection, you can see some cells, you can see gaps already. Some of the cells are rounded up. And by 8 hours, all the cells are rounded up and detached from the monolayer. If you shook them, all those cells would move. So the difference here, the monolayer cells are attached to the plastic. One of these cytopathic effects here is the cells round up and detached. Eventually they'll break. And the last, this is 12 hours post-infection on the lower right. the cells are all lysed. So that's two different kinds of cytopathic effects, rounding and detachment and cell lysis. So we use this to check our cultures visually. You can use the microscope and see if the virus is replicating. Here's another kind of cytopathic effect. This is called formation of syncytia. That's a plural, syncytium would be the singular. What happens is that for some viruses, when they infect cells, they cause the cells to fuse with neighboring cells. It's on the upper right here. We have one infected cell with a little red molecule on the surface. That's actually a viral protein that is fusogenic. It can fuse with membranes. We'll talk about that later. So that infected cell can fuse with the neighboring one, and now we have a cell with two nuclei. And this can go on and fuse with additional cells until you get these very large structures. They're called syncytia. Basically a big fused cell with a lot of nuclei in it. And these are characteristics of very specific viruses, in particular measles virus does this. And in the old days, before immunization, the monster teach got measles, physician would simply look in the mouth with the lesions in the mouth, and he or she could scrape a little bit off, look on the microscope, see syncytia, and say you got measles. Here's a micrograph on the left of cells infected with a measles-like virus, and you can see individual cells, and then here in the center is a syncytium. So big cell with lots of nuclei. So that's a kind of cytopathic effect. There are lots of these. Here's 30 of them. You're going to know these ones. Just want you to know that viruses cause changes in cells of different kinds, not just killing them, but changes like syncytium, nuclear shrinking, proliferation of membrane papules in the cytoplasm, breaking of chromosomes. Here's rounding up the detachment of cells, which I showed you. A lot of viruses make what we call inclusion bodies. They look in very specific areas of the cell. You can actually see those in the microscope as time goes on. They're characteristic for the virus. Virus particles in the nucleus of the cytoplasm, you get enough of them, you can actually see them in the light microscope, etc. So these are all different kinds of cytopathic effects. I want you to understand what a cytopathic effect is. I would never ask you to memorize all of them. That's not the point of this course. You just need to know that there are many different things that a virus can do to infect the cell. Here's an example of a question I can give you. I'll show you a picture of an uninfected and infected cell. And the infected cell is cultured by part of the so we call it the answer to the cytopathic effect. That's really the basis here. Now let's move to quantification. We can grow viruses in cells. Next step is how many virus particles are there. Because if you want to do experiments, you have to define number of viruses about cells and for animals, so we have to be able to quantify. And we have two broad ways of measuring virus particles. One is by infectivity, we can actually measure infected viruses. And the second is physical measurements. The second time we infected with just the number of particles and the components. So I want to go through some of these today and tell you about them. Let's start with an infectious assay. And this is the PAP assay. This is one of the greatest assays in all science.